Hey, what's going on, guys? Indy here with Ultimate Tour Reviews. Well, I'm going to first explain the issue, explain what happened and how to fix it. But if you guys want to skip right to how to fix the issue, I'll put a link in the pinned comment below. You can skip right to that timestamp and go from there. But I'd like to explain to you guys kind of what is going on with these Ram 1500 trucks that's causing that really weird, almost like it's like a stutter jerk. Basically, when you're slowing down, you're applying the brakes, you get below 5 miles an hour, usually below 5 miles an hour. And then, of course, when you accelerate again, you take your foot off the brake, you're going to get that weird jerk. And I've seen a couple of YouTube videos online. I did a ton of research on this issue because it seems like such a silly, stupid issue. Like, wow, it should be a super easy fix, right? And I mean, they've been using splines and drive shafts for quite a while. So if you're guys wondering kind of what's going on exactly, well, in a lot of these Ram 1500 trucks, there's going to be a spline drive shaft. Basically, the drive shaft has these splines, like a two-piece drive shaft. It's not an entirely solid piece of drive shaft that they're going to be able to slide in and out of each other just like this. Reason being is because depending on the angle of that drive shaft and the angle of your rear or sometimes even the front axles, if you got four-wheel drive, that drive shaft needs to be able to kind of come in and out a little bit as that axle goes up and down with the truck. So that's why it's doing, that spline is really needed there. Now, if you're wondering why you're getting that really weird, kind of shudder there, it's going to be most common on the TRXs. The more horsepower you have in the vehicle, it seems the issue is even worse. Well, what I discovered was from doing a bunch of research online, checking out my own truck, and I've also got a 21 Ram 1500 here as well, too. That's also four-wheel drive. That truck does not have the issue. If you're wondering why, because there's no splines in the drive shaft. It's a solid drive shaft at the front, solid to the rear. I don't know why some trucks have it, some trucks don't, but if you're unfortunate enough to have a truck like me who has the spline drive shaft, it's actually a pretty easy fix. A little bit messy, but you can usually fix it in about 20 minutes. Now, let me explain first here why it's not necessarily that simple. It's just a kind of a one and you're done situation here. So basically what Ram did was there's a boot over that spline on the drive shaft. Of course, you want to keep that very clean. You do not want any dirt or debris getting in there. They're going to have basically two of these clips over that boot on that drive shaft. You're going to remove the front clip. Now, don't remove the back clip. I mean, you can remove the back clip if you want. It kind of makes it slightly easier. I decided not to because I really don't need to do that. But what you do is you remove that front clip. You're going to take one hand and pull that boot back. It's going to be quite tough, quite, a stiff boot. If you had an extra hand underneath there or even a lift to make it significantly easier, you could do that too. You do not need a lift to do this. You don't even need to jack the truck up to do this at all. You just basically need a diagonal of cutters, couple of heavy-duty zip ties, and a tube of grease, and you'll be all set. So what you want to do is crawl underneath the truck. You're going to basically take that diagonal cutters, just kind of slowly but very carefully, don't damage the boot, don't damage the drive shaft, and cut off that front clamp on there. And there's no way to really get the clamp off that I could tell. I mean, there might be a way to get it off. But I decided to not reuse it and instead put zip ties. You could use like a larger hose clamp if you wanted to. Now, the reason I say to use zip ties is because I actually have come back and clipped those zip ties a couple of times, pulled the boot back, and put in more grease. Now, if you're lucky, you might be able to get enough grease in the first time, but what happens is, and why you're going to need to, of course, take that boot off multiple times, is because as that drive shaft is spinning, that grease cannot stay in those splines. It's kind of flinging out into the, kind of what are those called? The, like, I guess the wrinkles of the boot there, or it kind of compressed like that accordion pieces of the boot there. It's going to fling off into there, just like the factory grease did, and that's where the problem lies, is now it doesn't have enough lubrication, it's starting to stick and become tacky, and that drive shaft is giving you that jerkiness of that, stop and start there. So the solution to that is it took me 3 times, and basically what I would do is put as much grease as I possibly could pack in there, but a half a tube at a time. Now, the first time I did it, I kind of just tried to coat it lightly, not too heavy, see what happens. It started doing it again within about 200 miles, which is what everyone online is saying. That if you buy the kit, or I think there's a kit from Ram that's like a TSB, I don't know if you get to pay for it or not, they give you this tiny little tube of grease, which is completely stupid. It's really viscous stuff. You need something that's really going to be thick and tacky to get on that drive shaft to prevent that issue from happening. I've also seen guys online that are taking the entire drive shaft off, which I think is absolutely ridiculous and a huge waste of time. And then, of course, they take the boot off and then they, pull apart the drive shaft, lubricate it up with some grease, and put all that together. That seems wildly overcomplicated and wildly expensive for a simple issue like this. So the real solution to this, and from what I've discovered, and don't say in the comments, oh, well, have you tried this for a while, or that doesn't really work. I'm at 6 months now of this fix being totally working without any issue at this point. And I've checked it a couple of times. I check it every time I've got an oil change on my truck. When I call out to do the oil change, I'll also cut the zip ties off, check the grease underneath there, make sure the boot is intact, make sure nothing's getting dirty in there, put some more grease in if needed, and then of course put in the zip ties back on and make sure it stays secure. It's really not that big of a deal, and replacing the drive shaft isn't going to do anything for you really. It's going to just give you the issue again, and unfortunately they just don't put enough grease in those things from the factory. So what your goal is, and if you can do it in the first time around, awesome. Maybe it takes you 2 times. I think I could probably do it in 2 times if I knew everything I knew now from almost 9 months ago when I started this issue and started this project, was you just pack as much grease as you possibly get in there. I'm at about 1.5 tubes full of grease in there. And if you're wondering why so much grease, well, simple. Because as that drive shaft is spinning, it starts packing the grease into that sleeve, and there's no more grease sitting in that drive shaft. You need to get enough grease in there that when that drive shaft or when the air temperature gets hotter, it's then having that grease become so packed in there that's always somewhat in those splines. That's going to be the trick. Of course, a lot of guys are saying online that the hotter it gets, I've seen this too, the hotter it gets outside, the more that jerkiness becomes relevant and becomes way more noticeable. I found that to be exactly true. So you really got to pack just a ton amount of grease in there as you possibly can. The grease I'm using is just going to be, of course, Lucas Red and Tacky. This is the Super Tack version of it. It's like $5 a thing of this. Just go to Walmart, buy 2 of these, get 2 heavy-duty zip ties that I think need to be, actually, sorry, 4. I bought 4 12-inch zip ties. Those worked out great. I just got the like the white ones or whatever, you know, just heavy-duty ones, really strong ones. I've had zero issues, not even a single one break on me yet. And I do take my truck off-road quite a bit too. No issues at all. And that's pretty much it. The hardest part about this whole project is just breaking that first clamp off. You could break off both. I really wouldn't recommend it. I would say just do the front. All you gotta do is pull that back. You pack that grease in. And if you're wondering, hey, well, don't you need to grease the whole spline? You do, but that grease is going to heat up there over time. It's going to move around, and it's going to eventually get in the entire spline there. That grease will get itself everywhere it needs to be because that spline is totally smooth. There's no parts of that spline that it's not really going to get into over time. That's the good news. It's really easy to fix it yourself. No, you don't need to take your truck to, get up on a lift, pull the drive shaft down. Absolutely ridiculous. It's actually really easy to do with just popping that clamp off, getting that boot pulled back. You got an extra set of hands. It's going to be even easier, like super easy to do. But you can actually do it by yourself in your driveway in about 20 minutes with the right tools. I think I used a screwdriver, a diagonal cutters, and then, of course, buy 2 tubes of this grease, get some heavy-duty zip ties, you're good to go. That's about it. So let's go to the truck, guys. I'll show you kind of how it works, show you what the drive shaft looks like. It is super messy, I will say that. Wear gloves, have plenty of paper towels with you because it's going to get everywhere. I got the grease everywhere. Because when you're working, it's kind of tight. It's going to be like right up here on you, and you're working on that. The grease is going to go everywhere. And you got to try to get your hand, around the drive shaft as best as possible and just pack it in those splines as best you can. So guys, let's go and check it out. Okay guys, so it is really tight under here without a lift. This truck is not jacked up at all. This is stock ride height. So this way, pointing down, that's going to be the passenger side. My entire feet and legs are still outside of the truck right now. This is going to be the drive shaft here. This is a 2-wheel drive Ram 1500. So looking that way, that's towards the engine. You can see that I've got basically a 3-piece drive shaft in here. So that's going to be your first piece of drive shaft. This is your second piece. We then have the boot, which is right here. And looking here, we've got the rear differential. Right here is the boot in question that's causing all of the issues. So what you want to do is, see this clamp here? It's really tight underneath here. Right here. You're going to want to basically back up your truck or go forward until you find there's going to be a little piece. I think it's, of course, on the top here. But you can even start here if you want, and do not use a grinder. Do not use an angle grinder or a die cut or anything. All you want to do is break off that clamp there, and you are good to go. That's going to be about it. Okay, so here is going to be the front clamp right here. Now, I got 2 zip ties on here. Here's the ones I'm using, of course. They're no big deal. What you can do is you're going to take this zip ties off. This is, or the clamp here, and it's your first time doing it. You then will pull it this way. It pulls out to about here. You're going to get just a few, maybe 2 inches, and you're going to see the splines then in there. With your other hand, you're going to grab a bunch of grease, definitely wear gloves, and you're going to just pack that grease into the splines as best you can. Try to get at least a half a tube to maybe 2/3 a tube in there. And then, of course, push the boot back over, put the spline on, drive it for a couple hundred miles, even a couple thousand, depending on how far you'll go, without having the issue. If you get the issue again, just repeat the process again. Cut off the zip ties, pull the boot back. You're going to notice in there that, whoa, where'd all the grease go? And the first time you do it, there's going to be almost no grease in there at all. It's going to be just like this very light, oily substance, almost like the 3-in-1 oil is all you're going to see in there. All you got to do, pull it back, throw some grease in there, and really pack it in there with your hand. Put it back, put some zip ties on, and you're good to go. Do not damage the drive shaft. Do not damage this boot. This has not caused any balancing issues at all with my drive shaft. I've been up to maybe 85 and tested this to make sure there's no issues there. Absolutely 0 issues there too. Of course, I'd probably clean this up a little bit better down here too. There's a bit of grease here and there, but it's not a big deal. But that's about it, guys. Well, okay, guys, that's all there is to it. In the comment below, guys, with a timestamp, I'll put a couple of links to all the stuff you're going to need. You can buy it all on Amazon too. Really, really easy to do. I'm surprised at how many, people are like, oh, you got to take the drive shaft off to do this. Oh, there's a bunch of issues to do this. It's not that bad at all. I've been actually pretty happy with how easy this fix is to do. It's a little intimidating the first time you're doing it because you're like, wow, I don't want to damage the drive shaft. I don't want to, have other issues there. It's not that bad at all. And I mean, this will save you, Ram will try to charge you a couple $1,000s to replace the drive shaft. It's going to be the exact same issue all over again. So try this fix out first. It worked really well for me. I've been running it 6 months now without a single issue. It took me 3 attempts, you're wondering. I did it for 3 months straight just to try to see, hey, I'm like, whoa, there's no more grease in there. Pack more grease in, put the boot back on, did it again. Whoa, there's no more grease in there. Did it 3 times, and finally now it's entirely gone away. So it is entirely fixed now, and I've been running it now 6 months without an issue. It's been absolutely awesome. So guys, thanks for watching. Got any questions, leave them below, and have a great day.